CHICKEN. Use the code chicken in the shop. CHICKEN.
Guys, the Chickens here, bringing you another Plumage video. In today's video, guys, we've been struggling a little bit in Warships, so we got the crew on, we got Mr. OP Destroyer, we got the Warships Professor, Shish Kebabber, and yes, we're just going to go over kind of like where we want to go in the tech tree and the next kind of moves we want to make and things like that. So OP, I know you got to get going soon, but how you doing, man? How's your Warships going? And like, where are you at? And maybe tell us like what your plans are in terms of the tech tree.
Hey, Chicken, thanks for having me, man. Yeah, right now, the season's not as bad as I thought it was going to be.
A lot of variability, a lot of different metas, a lot of different stuff.
Sure. I mean, we can't escape the fact that it's still a base race after base race season. Other than that, I'm finding it very interesting. Different metas have emerged. Heavy Zuka, Bombardier now kicking in. Seekers are now here to stay. Heavy choppers and all that good stuff.
Scorcher Zuka had its moment. Let's not lie.
It did have its moment, and that was awesome. But for my status now, I'm running two accounts. My main account took a slightly different path than my other account, and right now my main account's doing better than my other account that was doing better than my main account. So it's just kind of weird. But I'm currently at a 5 ER on my main and a 6 ER on my other, and I'm kind of glad I made a 5 beefy ER with my main because it's kind of propelled me. But I think now is the time to move into 6 ER. So we know that these effective tech windows, as far as defensive layouts, do expire, as Shish will attest to soon. But yeah, I've really beefed out one of my main account, and I'm ready to move into 6 and see what happens when we get there. But that's all I can say right now.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Now, Shish, maybe start off with how you're doing, but then let's talk about kind of what OP touched on about the like the dirty 5 base. What we call is just when you like max out and upgrade all your defenses for basically one engine room before moving to the next, and kind of what we're seeing how the meta kind of progresses between those two things.
Sure, yeah. Well, on my mini bobber account, who is what is he, like level 48, he was able to reach rank 25 with a dirty 5 AR, max rocket launchers, max everything.
Damn.
So it's kind of the vanguard for it. I think he's Canada number 2 right now. But I'm parked. I'm done with him. We're leaving him there. I'd have to get Admiral Key to go to 6 CR, and I think that's a good spot for him. Shish, he's trying to blossom into a actual dirty 7. So I'll be blossoming at the end of the season on Shishka. I had enough keys because I was able to get Barrage early this season. And I wanted to highlight on a point that OP touched on that's really true about this season. And he's talking about the flip-flopping nature of it, like how one account was doing good and this other account's doing good.
Yep.
That is what I find very remarkable about the season, and in a very good way. It's that a lot of times we have complained about in the past how
it's stale, right? It's like, it's like a heavy rush.
This
blah,
season,
blah, blah.
There's been a lot of flip-flopping.
Yeah.
Well, if you make certain choices. But I think, Chicken, you might be in a bit of a conundrum right now trying to figure out where to go. But I think for the most part, this season has found some effectivity for those choices that we've made at certain junctures, let's say.
Absolutely. And honestly, in my opinion, a little bit biased because I'm kind of trapped right now. But I feel like maybe we went from like too much staleness to almost too much variability, where it's like if you're not plugged into exactly what's working for like the next 16 hours, you're not really progressing like you could be. Not that that's necessarily a bad thing, but I still think there's kind of a happy middle in between. But regardless, Shish, what do you think for the guys that are kind of around where Chicken's at, like late 5, early 6 engines? What should we really be looking for? Like, do we need to get the heavy choppers next? Like, there's so many different ways we could go about this here. Prototypes are available. Seekers are obviously very strong right now with the troop damage. And, yeah, there's kind of a whole lot of mess I'm just kind of throwing at you. Like, what do we do here?
Sure. Well, there's a lot of variables, but I think the first place to start is just doing a basic key calculation and understanding how far you can get in the season. I think for most players, a strong 70 hours out of the question. So a player like you in your position, you really need to look at just being a 6 CR player and doing the best you can at 6 CR. So that's
I'd
like
agree with that.
Vision, okay? And then from there, we just have to kind of like accentuate player attributes. One of the big things, the question of seekers comes down to honestly instant training, whether you got it or not.
Right.
If you
That
want to
makes
be a
huge
seeker
difference.
player, you kind of have to have instant training. If not, just stick with bombardiers. That being said, there's going to be a lot of players that can't even play seekers even with instant training. So I think bombardiers have a big part in the final meta.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
I mean,
it's
seekers
gonna be a
are.
mixed meta, and just
Yeah.
do well, have good defense, and make some good attacks, and do your best. And if you start to face a lot of 70Rs, just park.
Now, are we using bombardiers without heavy choppers? Are we still using heavy bomber? Is that viable at 6?
No, I would say heavy chopper's the way to go. I think you should have the keys for it, because they're just so much of a better value. Like
Right.
they give you so many heavies, and they have so much HP even on their own. Like they're so good. Yeah.
So if you have the option, basically, you're either going all seekers with bullet taunt, or heavy chopper with bomber. And if you're crazy enough, like Shishka is, you can mix in a couple seekers and really make that a pretty strong attack meta. But yeah, other than that, we haven't really seen too much develop. So yeah, it's kind of a mix of those three troops, you would say, right?
Absolutely. It'll be a mixed meta, and your defense needs to be good for both, and just beef up and hunker down for a 6 CR final push.
Yep. Now this season started off. OP, I don't know if you're still with us and you want to chime in, but
Yeah.
yeah, he is still here. Yeah. So let's talk about defense for a sec. So, we started off the season and basically everyone was just trying to get to barrage really quickly. There's certain tech nodes that you could get that were really going to propel you forward. Now things have kind of slowed down and everyone's kind of backfilling in a sense. We're going back. We're getting all these defenses. We're getting the prototypes and things like that. What is kind of OP, like OP especially? I think you have mortars and rocket launchers all maxed out too, right? At 5 ERs. So, what do you guys think's, I don't know, most important on defense right now?
Well, currently, I mean, I think the most important thing on defense, I think the most intricate prototype is a shock blaster because it really can maim bullet. Apparently on seeker hits, I noticed that because I went from 22 to 24 like within an hour using the red scorpion shish kebabber base. But now that little defensive layout kind of now is losing its luster. But the shock blaster was the one that, unless you take care of it, you shock it or you blow it out of the waters, that would always peg bullet and not allow him to proceed to taunt for your seekers, and they would fail. But I would say that's a really crucial one to have because most people are running bullet and seekers and whatnot.
Right.
But other than that, I decided to go 5ER, man, because I was all out of options. I knew calculating, like Shish Kebabber said, calculations. I've already went back, so there's no way I'm going to get to 7ER, so I'm going to just be a dirty 6. So I just filled in. I'm having fun, and I'm not really seeing much of a difference. I have maxed rocket launchers, and yes, I think Diddle players will be a little more scared of that, but they're still going to beat it. I think it's just they got to take care of it more. They got to watch out for the rockets. Other than that, just being a dirty 5 is going to be nice because I get to grow up and be a dirty 6 soon. So I don't know.
I love the names we come up with for these.
Also,
things,
too, might I add, Chicken, before I'm done talking, sorry about that. I had to make these drastic changes based off the fact that Heavy Zuka wasn't going to cut it anymore like it did for a temporary window, right? So I had to decide, well, do I go far and start unlocking everything to slow down the bombardiers? Because I knew at that time I wasn't there yet and people already had them and I was going to face them. So I figured, you know what, let's make it harder for them. And that's how I saw it. So I was a little late to the show as far as, tech riding, if you want to call it that.
Right.
But that's why I decided to pull the brakes, kind of lay back, put it on cruise control from here on out.
Rough.
Yeah,
man. No, for sure. Shish.
Well, it's very important. Like what OP said right there is a very important point. Knowing when to put the brakes on a certain ride, whether it's tech ride or base ride, is very important because sometimes we can get too carried away on whatever plan we initially have. Mm-hmm. So when you reassess and you reevaluate, good things can happen.
Yeah, especially this season, right? Because it started off, it seemed like it was all tech riding, and then it really drastically shifted towards whoever has the strongest defense is going to have the advantage. So,
absolutely,
yeah, we've had to play kind of both
a lot of that's
fields.
because the advancement of tech costs more and more keys as you go through the tech tree. So unless you're getting those rank chests in a timely manner, you're not really on the tech ride. So very few people can actually manage that tech ride. And those are the ones you see all the way at the top. And it's not without skill too. I mean,
Right.
skill, dedication, all of that. But
Right.
at a certain point, you got to get off the tech ride when you realize you've missed a couple of key rank chests and you're losing.
Yeah, it does make a big difference for sure. Sorry, I'm just trying to stay alive with
Focus.
the chicken seekers here. We didn't do so
bullet.
good at the last attack, so we're trying to make it up here.
Head south. Oh no, Shock Blaster has him. See that Shock
Yeah.
Blaster is a nemesis to Bullet.
Yep, you're right.
Seekers are
Okay,
looking
without
thin.
without taunt, it is
shock that.
definitely rough. What I like to do sometimes, guys, is if I'm low on the seekers there, I'll throw on a huge wallop or dollop, as OP likes to say, of critters in the back,
Boom, sucker.
and it actually works out pretty well.
Seeker Cousins for the win.
Yeah. If you don't have the seekers, the next best thing are the weird looking seekers, aka the critters. But yeah, guys, there's a whole pile of info for you. I hope that helps you out. I hope you're doing a little bit better than the chicken so far. I still feel like I'm in a decent position to kind of fill out the 6 ER. Go kind of dirty 6 and see what we can do. I don't think I'm gonna go 7 engines this season, but we'll see how it ends up. Hey, I mean, overall, compared to season 13, I'm already ahead. So I mean, that's kind of a win, right? That's kind of a win.
Yeah.
We don't talk about season 13 anymore. But guys, as always, thanks so much for watching. Big shout out to OP and Shish for coming on as always. And make sure you check out their channels and all that good stuff. But yeah. Guys, as always, thanks so much for watching. That is going to wrap up the video today. Make sure to leave a like if you found it interesting, entertaining, or informative. And we'll see you next one, guys. Chicken out. Back.
Or